One of the main challenges a lot of people have with booking any speaker is finding people who create impact, that create lasting impact after leaving there, whether it's for 45 minutes, whether it's for 90 minutes, and so on. How do you create that impact? You do it through getting keynotes who deliver powerful messages through stories that leave a lasting mark, to create action for themselves, to leave something within every audience member of, I need to do this now. So there's a reason why people invest in speakers, invest in seminar leaders, and so on. It's because everyone wants to build a better team, more effective brand, and you do this by telling a better story. Because storytelling is so important, I've had a chance to go into many corporations, many events, and be a keynote speaker, and sharing with other people how to also tell their stories, whether it's their businesses, whether it's their leaders, and trying to empower their staff members, and so on. That story is the most important foundation to building a togetherness in any workplace. Now my question to you is, what's your story? How do you want to build a lasting legacy for yourself and your business?
So my challenge to you is to work on yourself. If you don't like where things are right now, work on yourself. Buy a book. Listen to audio programs. Motivate yourself. Get outside your comfort zone.
I remember being at a few conferences where I had a chance to keynote, and at the end of the keynote, very fortunate to have some people come up to me and say that this keynote has transformed their life in some way, that it gives them opportunity to want to tell their story, that it gives them an opportunity to want to get out there and make things happen. Johan said to Kendal, Johan said, "Why aren't you playing soccer after school?" I had to explain to Johan at 10 years old that I didn't have a vehicle. We're living on social assistance, where there's no economic development on my First Nations community. Grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, every single weekend I'm trying to be at his house because I love to be at his house, become best friends. The one thing I took away from this family was his father's work ethic. You see, there's a saying that if you wanted to be successful, find successful people and do what they do. So at a very young age, I was watching my best friend's father work. Every time he'd be at home, he'd make time for his kids, but every time he'd be working, he'd be so focused in his work. Every time he'd look after himself, he'd be running like marathons around the lake that he was living at. It was crazy. He was a workhorse. I couldn't believe how much drive he has. That's why it says driven up here. Another time I was doing this workshop in a northern community, and so we had about 100 people in this room walk in 9 a.m. and they were very uptight. They were very nervous about the day. They didn't know what was going to happen. And at the end of the day, we should have seen the transformation, the shift from being uptight to being open and relaxed and feeling together and feeling like a team. What happened? During all the exercises of those next 3 hours, what happened was people started to open up. People started to talk about overcoming obstacles. People started to talk about pain points in their lives that they had to overcome. And when you get your team and you get people to talk about themselves more and more and more, what happens is they start to feel empowered in the workplace. They start to feel empowered and appreciated because they have people that are listening to them. Well, I'm going to share with you a story of how I grew up in circumstances where I shouldn't even be here today. Okay, I grew up in poverty. I grew up a single parent by my mom on my Sweetgrass First Nation, and so on. Before I get into that, though, I also want you all to think about your own stories. If you were to strip away this building here today, okay, we got this beautiful facility that we're in here today. If you were to strip it away here today, you wake up tomorrow, same thing happens in your home, you have nothing, you wake up tomorrow, and you're laying in bed naked. You don't even have a bed. You wake up, you don't have anything. Up until this very point in your moment, when you wake up, you have nothing. What do you have? You have two things. Number one, you have the gifts that make you awesome, that have allowed you to be here in this room here today. Your gifts, your talents and abilities. Number two is the story that you've had ever since you, from birth up until this present moment. Two of the most powerful things that you have right now. You take away everything, that's the two things that you have here. So if you're looking for impact through storytelling, building your brand, building a team, working effectively together, go to my website, kendalnetmaker.com, fill out the booking form, and we'll talk to you very soon.